Hey everyone, welcome to another video. So in this video, we'll try and understand and discuss a very important GST advisory note which came out last month on 29th of December 2025. And it explained two major changes which is quite important and relevant for 2026 GSTR 3B filing, ideally from Jan 2026. The first change explained in the advisory pertains to reverse charge mechanism input tax credit, wherein when there's a transaction which is covered under reverse charge, the recipient, that is you, will have to pay reverse charge in tax firstly on it, and then for the same tax paid in the same month, you can go and avail a credit for that tax paid in that particular GSTR 3B that you file for that month. So the first change talks about RCM ITC, which we will understand it further. The second change pertains to credit reversal and reclaim, and this again is relevant for 2026 GSTR 3B filings. So firstly, let's try and understand what the credit reversal and reclaim change is all about and why it is relevant for 2026 GSTR 3B filings. So as far as credit reversal and reclaim is concerned, normally at the time of filing GSTR 3B, under table 4B2, there is a provision where you can record temporary reversals of input tax credit, which basically means that, let's say in the month of December, you know that you can avail a total of 1,000 rupees, but for some reason, 100 rupees out of the 1,000, you cannot avail it now, and therefore you show it under temporary reversal column, that is basically 4B2. Under 4B2, you show 100 rupees in the premise that in the next month, in the coming month, let's say in the month of Jan 26, you have an opportunity to reclaim it back. Let's say for this 100 rupees, you don't have an invoice, therefore you're showing under temporary reversal, currently in December under 4B2. And in the month of Jan, when you get an invoice, you reclaim it back and you show it under a particular column. So when you reclaim it back, let's say in the next month, Jan 2026, you can show it under 4D1. You can show it under 4D1, where you have an opportunity to show input tax credit that you're reclaiming of what was previously reversed in 4B2. So in 4D1, you can put a figure to reclaim what was reversed previously in 4B2. So 4B2 is for reversal and 4D1 is for reclaiming back the ITC which was reversed earlier. Now, what the advisory says that there is a credit reversal and reclaim ledger now which is available on the GST portal. If you happen to look at the ledger, there is an opening balance, there are two columns, and there's a closing balance. So there's an opening balance, there is ITC that is reversed under 4B2, there is ITC that is re-availed or reclaimed under 4D1, and there's a closing balance. Ideally, what the advisory says is that you cannot reclaim a figure in the next month or next quarter higher than the closing balance and what you reversed in that particular month. Basically, you cannot re-avail or reclaim a figure that you did not reverse earlier. Now let's say, for example, you reversed earlier 100 rupees in this particular example and you want to reclaim the 100, but for some reason you are reclaiming not 100, 200 rupees. Well, you cannot do this. If you put 200, there'll be a warning sign. You can very well still go ahead and file the return, but there'll be a warning sign indicating that you may get a notice in the future explaining why you have reclaimed an amount higher than your closing balance appearing in this particular ledger and what you have reversed earlier, which basically means that you cannot reclaim a higher figure than what you reversed earlier. You could get a notice, although you can now file return. There's a warning sign in red that comes, which may indicate a notice coming in future. Well, the second change is with respect to RCM liability and RCM credit. Now, in the same GSTR 3B, under table 3.1D, under this particular table, you have an opportunity to disclose what is the value of the RCM transaction. Once you identify the transaction liable to RCM, you have an opportunity to declare what is the value, the taxable value of the RCM transaction and RCM tax in this particular case. So here you have RCM value being 37530 and 18% of that IGST RCM, which is 67 55.44. This is under 31D where you disclose the RCM liability. In the same return under the ITC section under 4A2 and 4A3, you can disclose what is the RCM input tax credit that you want to avail for the same month of RCM tax paid or for a previous month of RCM tax paid. You can avail it here. In this particular example, the RCM tax disclosed was 6744.44, and the same thing has been disclosed as RCM ITC that he has to avail in this particular month. The advisory again says here what it explains is that there is a RCM liability and RCM credit ledger which is appearing in the GST portal, which you can easily look at. And this ledger has an opening balance. It has a RCM tax that you pay in that particular month or in the months, minus RCM input tax credit that you availed, and your closing balance. The closing balance represents the pool of what you can avail as RCM input tax credit in the subsequent months. And if you are availing an RCM input tax credit which is more than the RCM tax already disclosed or the closing balance or a sum of that, then you cannot file a GST return at all. Forget about giving a warning, which basically means that, say that you don't have any opening balance. You have, in the month of January, you have disclosed that you have an RCM liability of 7,000 rupees, for example, and you want to avail RCM, you are putting 8,000 rupees. Well, you cannot do this because only 7,000 is available in your pool, assuming there is no opening balance. If you put 8,000, there'll be a red sign and you cannot even go ahead and file your GSTR 3B, which says that you can only avail what you equal to an amount what you have disclosed as a liability. Now, what the ledger indicates is that if in this particular ledger you have opening balance, you have RCM tax and RCM ITC and closing balance. If the closing balance is, let's say, 6,000 rupees, and you have for the month again when you're filing you have 1,000 rupees RCM liability, your RCM ITC cannot be more than 7,000 rupees. If you availed 8,000 rupees, then you cannot file GSTR 3B. It should be 7,000 or an amount less than 7,000 rupees as RCM ITC. Only then will you be able to file a GSTR 3B for that particular month. That is what the advisory says as far as the second major significant change is concerned. Therefore, to sum it up, if you are filing the GSTR 3B of Jan 2026, then you need to keep in mind two changes. One, as far as reversal reclaim ITC is concerned, if you want to reclaim an ITC for which it was reversed earlier, your reclaimed ITC in 4D1 cannot be greater than the closing balance in this particular reversal reclaim ledger available in the portal, plus what you have shown as ITC reversal in 4B2 in the same month. So the same month, ITC temporary reversal plus the closing balance of that particular ledger cannot be, your reclaim should not be more than these two figures or the sum of these two figures. That is what the first significant thing that you should keep in mind when you do 2026 returns, especially GSTR 3Bs. The second change is that when you are filing the GSTR 3B for Jan 2026, you cannot avail an RCM ITC which is more than the closing balance of the RCM liability and credit ledger appearing in the portal, plus the RCM liability or tax of that particular month. Like I said before, if the RCM tax that particular month is 1,000 and your closing balance is 6,000, you cannot avail an ITC which is 8,000. The GSTR 3B that you file you will not be able to go to the filing page itself because the RCM ITC is greater than the closing balance plus the RCM liability of tax, whatever it is, of that particular month. So these are two major changes that you should keep in mind definitely when you file 2026 GST returns. Well, I hope I was able to make things clear in this particular video. If you liked the video, you could show support to us by hitting the like button. If you want more videos like these on a regular basis through wave notifications, you could also think of hitting on the subscribe button. Till then, I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care and thank you.